Hey everybody, I want to talk about a product and platform that I absolutely love and our latest sponsor, Interseller, the prospecting and outreach platform of choice for recruiters and sellers. Whether you're doubling down on business development or recruiting talent, Interseller does all the heavy lifting of finding contact data, automating the email and follow-up process, and syncs all that rich data into 20 plus CRM and ATS platforms. Reach out now and get going on a 2-week free trial and let them know you heard about it from Adam on the podcast today. Check out the link on the website. Appreciate it.
Welcome to the podcast, where we introduce you to incredible humans who share their journeys with the mission to inspire you to harness your own inner tenacity to drive your life and career forward. And now, your host, Adam Posner.
We are here. I can't believe I'm saying this. It's the 23rd day of September. I don't know if we're still in summer or fall yet. The weather keeps going back and forth here in New York. But I'm thrilled to welcome my guest today. He is the Chief Gravity Defyer, and we'll figure out what that title means because I've never seen before. David Brier, welcome to the podcast live, my man. It's been long overdue.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me. I mean, it's it has been overdue. I know our paths have kind of, been overlapping a little bit, but here we are, man. Here we
awesome.
are.
And that's the beauty of LinkedIn, right? The ability to take your online connections offline, even though we're having an online conversation. But this is as close as we're going to get, especially for now. And I believe you're in the great state of Wisconsin.
I'm in the great state of Wisconsin. Exactly.
Are you in Milwaukee? Whereabouts?
Oh, no. We're actually on the west side of the state. Milwaukee's on the east side. We're in the west side. So Milwaukee. Well, believe me, I probably know about 4 places in the entire state. Been here long enough to know more, but as a native New Yorker, we're always geographically challenged, right? We're like, there's, New York, there's Jersey, there's Connecticut, there's this thing in the middle called Chicago, something, whatever.
Yeah, there's Chicago in the middle there.
Then there's LA, and the rest of it's like a big landmass. So we don't have a clue. We're clueless.
Those are what we call them the flyover states. And I'm looking at your setup here behind you, and I see some pretty cool stuff on the wall there. Is that George Harrison? What is that? What am I looking at back there?
That is an oil painting of George Harrison that I did when I was around 15, 16 years old. I've basically been involved in art and design and anything creative my whole life.
Huh. Interesting. So let's do a quick little get to know you phase of the conversation here, because we have not had that. I mean, we were chatting a little bit before here, but Dave, as I ask my candidates when I interview them, tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do best.
What I do best is I change lives from sort of a muddling little sort of blah, 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 plod along. Okay, we're going to kind of have a business and we're going to kind of do this. We're going to be kind of, average, maybe a little bit better than average. And I help elevate them to really, why the hell not be freaking amazing, right? And so, over the course of my 40-year career, I've basically used, I've done before. So I started my career when there were no computers.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Imagine that.
Right.
VCRs. Remember when the VCR had a remote with a wire on it?
Yeah.
And remember those things called phones that had, that little curly wire.
Rotary. What about rotary?
I had one.
Yeah. I mean, so the thing is that, there were T-squares and drawing tables. And so you had to actually know how to draw. You couldn't just be, I know how to work so-and-so software program. Right? I mean, it wasn't, that to me is, it's good. It's a good skill set, but please tell me that you can grab a piece of paper and you can actually do something on it with your hand and with your mind and with your eye. And if you can't do that, that's a shortcoming, because, it's kind of like, that would be the equivalent of a film director having a vision, but not being able to put it into words to explain to another person. It's like, it's a missing skill set that to me is very important, that it helps you refine. You could work out and you could say, this is a good idea in my mind. Does it work out? And you work it out, and you go, oh man, that's crap, right? That just sucks. That was a great concept, but it didn't pan out. So it's that kind of thing. So anyway, that's the basic thing. So I mean, my whole life, that's what I've basically been doing, taking all those skill sets and just adding, learning another and another and another to help really engage. What the hell is story? What the hell is the thing that gets me jazzed? Whether it's in a store or it's because I've branded everything from cities to products to services to business to whatever. I mean, I've branded cultural events. I've branded Grammy Award-winning artists. So I've covered the spectrum of like anything that could possibly be branded. So I go, what's the thing? I'm taking an idea that could be just a bland fact, and I'm now turning it into something amazing.
I dig it, man.
I mean, and food. I always do. I always will use a food analogy. It's like, why can I take the same raw ingredients and give it to this schmo, and it tastes like?
It's how you put them together. It's how you position it, and then more importantly, how you plate it, right? And how you
plate it, and how you season it, and as much what you do as what you choose to not do. So.
Right. It's what you omit, which could usually make difference. So let's rewind a little bit for my own knowledge, and I think it'd be great to share with the audience. How did it all start, man? Right? I mean, I see you have a gift for the creative eye. Was it back in college, university, where you had this branding, marketing itch? Like, where did it all start?
Well, I've always was involved in the arts, always. So I was drawing from a very, very, very young age. So, but I was planning on being an illustrator, right? And I was into I was into music and rock and roll, and I was into progressive rock, and I was into jazz, and I was
prog rock.
Definitely prog rock, absolutely, and as well as just sort of new age stuff before new age was a category, and so I really just loved all of that whole experience,
right?
So the thing is like I was that's why, I mean, I've got George over there. I got Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull. He's over there.
I love Tull. Bungle in the Jungle. No one plays rock. No one made flute rock and roll savvy than Ian Anderson.
Thick as a brick. Classic.
Dude.
Timeless.
Wow. What is it? Locomotive Breath, right? Like
Locomotive Breath from Aqualung. Yep.
Dude, I saw Tull. Oh God, I'm so happy, man. I live by Jones Beach here. We were talking about Long Island before, and I live just real quick. I miss it. Like I'm in Long Beach. Everyone can see that now. Jones Beach, which is one of the greatest amphitheaters. It's on the beach, on the ocean. I saw Tull there when I was in high school, and my buddy Josh, his brother, was like a few years older, and he got me into like Floyd and Zeppelin and all the classic stuff. Yeah. But then he introduced me to Tull, and I heard Aqualung, man. Dude, my mind was blown, right? We're talking 1995, right? I'm going way back, 1995, right? I was in high school. We were still pretty analog, not fully digital back then. And
95 is when you were introduced to it, because it was recorded way earlier.
Oh, no, that's the point being, that's when I was introduced to it. And it was classic rock back then. And I heard this flute on this killer rock and roll song. I'm like, whoa, mind blown. Yeah. And then I had an opportunity to see Tull at Jones Beach, and I saw Tull live, and that was all. And that same year I saw it was Tull, Rush, and Ozzy solo at Jones Beach that year. That was a good one. Yeah.
Some of my favorite. I saw everyone from Genesis when it was the tour that followed when Peter Gabriel had left. So it was the Four. And they were touring with Bill Bruford as the secondary drummer, and him and Phil Collins together. It was explosive.
So they were doing dueling drums
at the Beacon Theater in New York City. Beacon.
The last live event I saw was Seinfeld at the Beacon right before they shut everything down.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like I've seen everyone from Frank Zappa to Yes several times, to Chick Corea and with the Electric Band and all the various things. Pat Metheny Group, all the amazing players, Brand X, which was a spinoff of a jazz fusion spinoff. And anyway, so there's a lot of fun stuff.
We digress a little bit. So you're always into the music, always into the arts. What was your first gig in the industry?
Well, so after I kind of had made my decision, I realized that if I'm going to be an illustrator, I was going to be an illustrator, but then I saw a publication, which is no longer in existence.
Mad Magazine?
No, I did see Mad Magazine, but that was not influential to me career-wise.
Not even folding the thing in the back?
Not even the folding thing. No. But but it was a great magazine that showed, all of a sudden, I was like, I had never seen a level of craft with the design. I mean, it was mind blowing, period. It totally took me where design, art direction, layout, all those bits and pieces, what they could do. It's kind of like when you taste your first amazing meal if you've only been living off of home food, home cooked meals for your life.
When you go to ramen and you have your first
you go like to you graduate from ramen to, you go, oh,
anything.
There's more palate going on in here. And that's basically what happened. So I literally made the decision to change and go from, I don't want to just be an illustrator, because if I'm an illustrator, I'm handing off one piece, and what that art director is going to do with it, it's up for grabs. So that's when I decided to be a designer. And then I started doing some additional classes at School of Visual Arts in New York City, off of Lexington and 23rd Street. And I would go to the placement office, and placement office, on their bulletin board, they would have freelance assignments and they would have positions. I wasn't interested in any positions. I was interested in the freelance assignments because I was not impressed with anybody that I knew. I wasn't like, oh, wow, that's a great agency, or that's a great this, or that's a great that. So one of my first, I don't know if this was my first, this might have been my first. There were these two guys. They had a balloon company. A balloon company. And so it's like for parties and events. So they would they would show up and they would do whatever. 50,
the big
20,
balloon displays.
They would do whatever. They would do whatever they were. And the business was called Balloonacy, which is a cool name. Okay.
All right. We're cool.
And so I designed the logo for them. It was one of my first ones. There was that and a club called Detroit that was somewhere in Queens. And those are a couple of my earliest projects, and everything was hand lettered. I was using devices that I could mention them now. People would go, "What the hell is he talking about, dude?"
T-square.
And so, but that's how it basically started.
That's amazing. And what was that first? Let's take it back to that first aha moment when you started to really understand the difference between advertising and branding. Where it was a little bit like, I'll give an example, like where it wasn't just, creating the ads, but like the thought behind it, the strategy, understanding what the brand persona, what it meant was.
It was at the point, I've always been very, very curious. I've always been very, very, like I always was like a lot of my growing up included, on Sundays, we would drive from Queens to Greenwich Village, and we'd walk around Greenwich Village, and we'd walk around West Greenwich Village, and we'd walk around and see the art show and around Washington Square Park.
It's culture, real culture, living, breathing.
Total culture. And I was a sponge, right? I was completely, and so the things that always caught my eye, it's like, I'd notice things. And I go, wow, like that piece of sculpture is amazingly more remarkable than the other stuff, the other 20 things I've just seen, or that artist, or that portrait artist, or that. So I always was attracted to and riveted by something that was noticeably several stages more remarkable and stopping me in my tracks, like, whoa. And so that curiosity, that looking at, can things be better? There's always a leaning in that direction. Like, can things actually be better? If a design can be done, can it be better? If a logo can be done, can it be better? If a story can be told, can it be better? If an experience is there, can it be better? So there was always that element. So just starting to specialize, my initial specialization was logos. And I worked in the big design firms as a freelancer. They would pull me in, and I would.
Logos are tough, though. I mean, if we want to take a pause for a second here, even logos now. I mean, logo is your badge, right? Logo is the first thing that people see. I mean, the importance of a logo is incredible. I mean, I know I'm going through a rebranding exercise now, a sneak preview coming out in 2 weeks. The new podcast brand look and feel coming out, so I know what it's like. Yeah, logo goes in Illinois. So you jumped right in with logos.
Well, to me, it was this thing. It was like this. It's kind of like, again, food analogy. It's like you look at a meal, you go, I want to make that meal, right? I don't go, I want to toast that bun. That was the way I work. I want to figure out how to sear that burger perfectly.
Right.
I want to get the onions exactly caramelized. I mean, so to me, it was like, I look at it, I'm like, that looks amazing. And that was how, and even with stuff like this, so like with the painting with George Harrison, that was the same thing. I was like, my inspirations, Rembrandt, Michelangelo, Da Vinci. These were the ones I looked at. I'm like, that stops me in my tracks. I look at that, the quality of that work, and I'm like, holy shit. So that was, so, and then I just figured if I could see something that had an impact upon me, I was then going to emulate it and figure out how to do it in some way.
Right.
So to me, I wasn't looking, ooh, big thing. I didn't have an idea of its relative significance. I simply was like, that's a thing that I can produce. And I sort of went in on that. And that was basically how it went. And yeah, I mean, I loved it, but I kept on seeing more and more layers. It was like, okay, that's a piece. It's kind of like, okay, I've mastered the lapel. All right. What about the rest of the shirt? How does the shirt fall? How does the material drape? How does it interact with the material underneath it? I mean, so I started just looking all the bits. I started to basically construct, realizing there was an ecosystem of pieces that worked synergistically.
That's what makes up the brand. I mean, what's your definition of brand?
Well, that's a very, very, very excellent question, which I actually address in my book. Because like I said, I've been doing this for this year 40 years. So
Mazel tov.
About Gesundheit. Thank you. And so the thing that happens is, I don't know, I've been doing it for some 32, 33 years. And I was like, I keep on hearing the same questions. Didn't matter whether I was dealing with a startup or whether I was dealing with companies that been in existence for 50, 60, 70, 80, 100. The oldest company I've ever helped them rebrand was 115 years old. And when you don't know what you're doing, that's a long time to freaking do a lot of stupid crap.
A long time to do wrong shit wrong.
You got it. So the thing is, they kept on compounding mistake on top of mistake on top. So like that was the one project that once I got in there, I'm like, is there a bottom? Is there a bottom to get to know where bottom is so I can start to reconstruct this,
totally.
This disaster? And that's basically, it was at that point. But I started seeing all these questions, and I was like, I want to put in one source all the questions and any question that I ever would be like, so-and-so's got to know it. They've been in the business. That always bit me in the ass. So it was like there were always these same confusions, misconceptions, questions, uncertainties. So I just wanted to do it in a very New York way, like the way my book is designed. I mean, my font is 3 times the normal size of it. It's like I eliminated the fat, I eliminated the bullshit, I eliminated the fluff. This is like straight to the point. It's like, you want to know? Here's the answer. To the point where one chapter literally has 2 sentences. That's all it needed. And when people are done with the 2 sentences, they're like, I got it. And so the thing is with all of that as the preamble, I was sick and tired of at the time when I started my book, there were 60. I went to Amazon, I typed in branding and looked under books. There were 6,500 books on branding. Today,
how many was this gonna cat? Yeah.
Today, you go, there's over 10,000 books on branding.
Everyone's
now. That means if you and I were to say, "Hey, why don't we start a book reading club? Why don't we read one branding book a day?" It would take us over 24.6 years to read all of them.
Not going to happen.
So I was kind of sick of like finding I'd read some highly recommended book, but out of a 300-page book, there'll be 10 pages. That was the good shit.
Yeah,
that was it.
The gold.
It
doesn't have to be that long. A book doesn't have to be that long.
Well, it's not only that, but it's disrespectful. You didn't say, "I welcome you to the treasure hunt." You said, "Read my book." So the thing is that's like me. That's like me. Another food analogy. That's like me saying, "Hey, come over for dinner. By the way, 15% of it's going to be good. I'll let you figure out which. I'm going to give you a lot of bullshit before."
Yeah, you're going to have to eat the whole thing. Or it's like I mean, you could use any analogy you want here. So back to the question: how do you define brand?
Well, branding. So branding is a 4-word definition.
I'm just trying to keep the show on track. That's what I do here.
And you've already miserably failed. You know that.
Yeah, I'm terrible. I should hang up. I don't even know why I bought these nice new headphones. Thank you, Sony.
So the thing is branding comes down to 4-word definition. It is the art of differentiation.
I like that.
That's what branding actually is. And the reason that that's so important is because you talk to certain people, they'll lean, well, it's how it looks, or ones that are just the ones that only know words, they'll talk about words. The ones that only know design will talk about how pretty it is. The ones that know, so I mean, it's like this.
It's how do you stand out in the noise? How do you stand out in the noise? It is crowded. It is loud out there. How are you going to stand out? I mean, we can even do the analogy, the same thing with podcasts, the same things with LinkedIn. I mean, it equates that. How do you stand out in the noise?
Yep.
Right. I mean, even LinkedIn now, everyone's standing out by doing the same kind of thing with these loud kind of messages and graphics, and it's getting too loud.
It's getting noisier. So I mean, it's like, and not enough people know what their core is, so they don't know how to pivot.
Exactly.
So all they know is, oh, here's the tactic du jour. Okay. Ooh, I'm gonna be like this one because they get a lot of views, man.
They're putting the tactic before the strategy, which is a surefire way to fail at anything you do in life.
Complete.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's a key theme that I get from the first 20 minutes and 53 seconds of our conversation about you, and that word is inquisitive. And I feel I'm being serious here for a minute. I'm trying to have a moment with you. And you're making it silly, and I don't appreciate that.
No, I'm with. Look, like the fact that I'm smiling does not mean that I'm silly. The fact that I'm smiling is like I'm tracking with you. I'm there.
I'm messing with you. The word is inquisitive, and to me, that's one of the most desirable traits in another human being that I connect with. When someone is naturally inquisitive, where they're always looking for the how, why, how to do better, and asking. And I'm a big believer in asking the right questions. I mean, believe me, in my life, I've asked a lot of shitty questions, gotten a lot of shitty answers. Yeah. But being inquisitive is something that I look for in friends, in my mate. My wife is inquisitive. She usually asks me, why the hell did you do that? Why the hell are you doing this? What the hell were you thinking? That's her method of being inquisitive. But when I look for
that's New York inquisitiveness,
right? Like it's a hybrid. The New York version is what the fuck. That's the New York version of inquisitive.
Well, it's true, but it's a sort of a hybrid between curiosity and the Spanish Inquisition.
Right. So I don't know why I just brought this up. So I'm driving here to Long Beach this morning, and there's one road to get here. It's 2-lane road, and this lady in front of me is swerving a little bit. So I do my aggressively defensive offensive maneuver, as I like to call it, and I swerve around her, and I'm driving, and I look over, and she's putting on her mascara while she's driving, like driving with one hand and putting on mascara. And she looks over at me and she goes, "Why the hell are you driving like that behind me? Why are you driving all crazy?" I look over and I go, "What?" She goes, what are you in some kind of rush or something? I go, "Well, obviously you are, lady. You're the one who's putting your makeup on and didn't have time to do it beforehand." And she does the New York thing. What do you think she did?
Probably flip you the bird.
It's exactly what happened. I'm like, but I didn't do anything wrong. All right, I just needed to share that story out here. So let's fast forward a little bit. You've been there, done that. World of marketing. Anyone who wants to look at your LinkedIn and see like your resume and everything. But I would love to just touch on a couple of highlights, throughout your career. If you could just share a couple of points, some real outstanding brand work that you could hold your hat on. Things that you said, this was something I'm really proud of that I've done, and why, and the process a little bit.
Totally. Well, one is for a chocolatier, like an amazing chocolatier that it was astonishing because I'm a fan of great coffee. I'm a fan of great chocolate, good food, right? Enjoyable things like that. I really enjoy
the better things in life, the finer things in life.
The finer things in life. And so the thing that happens is, after close to a year of speaking with this entrepreneur, he finally green lights, says, all right, fine. Because he basically was very much of a prima donna from the standpoint of like, hey, anybody that knows anything about chocolate, they'll find me. I'm like, well, that's a great marketing strategy. So I think he was the first client that I ever told. I said, marketing isn't a telepathic exercise. That was right. And so
exactly.
And so what I did is I transformed his brand. I applied everything that I had been kind of perfecting, and observing and tweaking, and I put it all to full force. The before and after is dramatic, beautiful, spot on, but here was the proof. We did a soft open, and what I mean by soft open is there was no big, hey, we're doing a rebrand, or hey, we're doing a change, because it was a boutique shop, right? Boutique. So what happens is the boxes were just on the back counter. There were no new sexy people in the front. There were no new flavors, no change of display, no new hours, no new signage, no promotions, no price discounts, nothing. Literally, the boxes are just put on the back counter.
Interesting.
And not only that, but it's in June. And if you know chocolate, basically from May through October, sales globally for chocolate are in a dips, always down,
right,
compared to the rest. All right. So I go to him after the first month and I said, Mike, how'd it go? He's like, sales of truffles tripled, 300% increase in 30 days. 300%. Same people coming through for their coffee, their tea, their scones, their muffins, their chocolates, their this, 300% increase just because there was a completely different perceived value of how these were, the context with which they were presented to you. And it was beautiful. And then July, I went back. That was over June. And August, not only was over July, August was over February.
And what was the key takeaway there? Like what was it that you did that was it a mindset shift with the team? How did you shift the brand perception that drove sales?
Well, the thing is his prior box was this kind of, it was just basically it was a flimsier white box, not the
shitty one that you get in the bakery. Yeah. The folding one.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And so that one, and then with a little freaking oval. I mean, to me, it looked like some makeshift sort of baseball team. It's like, what the fuck is that, right?
It's Bad News Bears of bakery boxes, chocolate boxes.
So my thing is, I said, first of all, we're going to have a box that feels like premium. I just bought something. I don't have buyer's remorse now that I paid you.
Right. It's a Tiffany's box of chocolate.
Well, but here was the interesting thing. I didn't go high gloss. I didn't use metallics. I didn't do all the usual things. So that was one thing. So I wanted material. It felt wonderful. It was the right certain weight of corrugated board.
It was just enough.
Just the right thing. The color palette was stunning, really primarily earth tones, but then with a perfect sort of bluish purple, almost a blue, a little bit like this as sort of an accent, gave it the right sophistication of look and feel. The language was great. It's like, but there was also an aspect of what I call a self-aware brand voice.
What does that
there was
mean?
A little line in there that said, may cause chocolate envy, share responsibly.
I like that. Right.
And so
it's memorable. And it causes the customer to go, huh?
Yeah. And here was the other thing. I looked at what everyone. All right, so I told you the art of differentiation, branding. So I'm putting this into practice. So I look at what every one of the other boutique chocolatiers are doing, and they're doing now. When I was in New York and I started my career, I'd work on Estee Lauder, I'd worked on Revlon, I'd worked on these cosmetic brands.
Right.
So I knew what the whole thing was. The whole thing in cosmetics is have an aura of everything but say nothing.
Right. It's like the perfume commercials. Like what?
It's complete. And so what happens is all of them are doing that. Texture, feel, paper choice, color palette, this, that, the other, embossing, all kinds of stuff. But they didn't say anything. So they're all playing the look at me game. And I was like, so I'm looking at that, and then I look at this. I go, wait a second. There's the Food Network. Foodies love sound bites. There are great magazines that foodies love to buy. Mm-hmm. And if you know the foodie culture, you go, hey, you know what? If I know a little something, hey, you want to know how to really caramelize some onions? You want to know how to get the perfect blah? You want to know how to do salmon? We could talk that shit for hours. So there was a whole world that nobody was touching upon. So I, instead of going like, let's just make it look pretty, all around the box, there were little bits of wonderful little anecdotes, little humorous chocolate stories, all kinds of stuff around it. So it took you on a freaking journey, and it was unbelievable. People were, and lastly, I knew that women were represented a high percentage of his customer base. And I knew that if it was a great box in terms of structure, they'd never throw it away. And I found out years later from husbands, oh, you're the guy.
Well, it's an interesting thing, right? Like you made it. I mean, listen, but we're also not even talking about the product that's inside the box.
Yeah.
Right. You know, which is fascinating. I mean, let's fast forward to today, right? Let's fast forward. It's 2020, and no one even. I mean, like this year has just been a dumpster fire. In so many different ways, but there's also been a lot of interesting silver linings. A lot of brands out there have had to pivot. And I think my take on it is a lot of brands have been very reactionary, and they're doing things because they feel like they have to. And then there's other brands that I think are accelerating because it's already been part of their core values and who they are. And now they're just amplifying that message. You know, there's companies like Nike, for example. What are you seeing out there, you know, September 2020?
Yep.
Companies doing well, some companies doing not so well, some companies trying too freaking hard, and some of them that are falling on their face. I'd love to get, you know, your commentary on what's happening out there from a brand perspective during COVID.
Well, I think the first few months, people, you know, everyone was in a state of sort of shock and hope. Shock that, holy shit, what the hell is happening? And hope that, I hope this ends tomorrow. And now, with that as a situation, some companies were super proactive, ready to pivot, like right now, bam. And there were others, the majority in the beginning, that were, let's just keep doing what we're doing. Let's just hope. Unless they were in what I call the decimated industries, such as, okay, you've got the restaurants, you've got the hotels. You've got that type of industry situation.
Right.
So
the ones that weren't able to actually be in business, right? Of course.
Well, but then I started. I mean, I kept on watching. I'm going, who's doing what? Who's doing what? Who's doing what? Like there was a chain of movie theaters out here, and I was so proud of them because they were like, you know, we can't have people congregate in our theaters. What can we do proactively? It's not going to make up for all the lost business, but it definitely will help. So they were like, you know what? We're going to sell. We'll give you an enormous bag of popcorn, like freaking huge. Mm-hmm. You buy a gift card for X, whatever it is, and you get that free. Or if you don't want the gift card for future performances, theatrical performances, then you could buy the bag. And they did it as drive up. And I was like, okay. You at least now understand
was that Jeff Megaplex, right? Jeff Whipple Megaplex?
I'm not sure if it was Megaplex. I forget. That doesn't ring a bell. Doesn't ring a bell. But to me, it's not dissimilar to the whole sort of Blockbuster versus Netflix game. You know, Netflix knew that it was in the business of entertainment. Blockbuster thought it was in the business of having brick and mortar locations for people to come up and do their shit. So, you know, my mantra is, don't be married to your solution, be married to the problem of your customer that you're solving. And so today, and I had even spoken to I had done like a 3-day Americas, Europe, and Asia virtual event to people in the travel and events space because they were decimated. And I'm going, so what are you doing? And they're like, what can we do? What can we do? Because I was there to basically provide an outside viewpoint of what's possible. And I basically said, well, first of all, I said, okay, so no one's coming to you. No one. So you're not making money on the travel. You're not making money on the lodging, and you're not making money on the event.
Right.
So you've been wiped out. What can you do? They're like, oh, we don't know. That's all we know.
Oh.
and I'm like, they were shell shocked. And I said, well, here's what I think you could do. I think you need to realize, like a restaurant. I said, who other than the restaurant decided, now what is a restaurant really? It's a kitchen with talented staff. Now
they're good marketers. They're door-to-door marketers at your table.
Well, they are. But the thing is, who decided that that their area of service was 30 feet out and 40 feet wide? Who decided that? The restaurant owner. Who decided that they couldn't do more? So all of a sudden, it's like there are places that deliver to homes, or now they've expanded it where you can drive up.
Yeah,
so it's like,
curbside.
look, you still have your core deliverable component. If you make amazing freaking food, you can blow my mind and just change where you're delivering to. You're not delivering
Change the solution.
You're not delivering to table 5. You're delivering to the sidewalk.
Exactly.
Or you're delivering to their home. So with these guys, I said, you need to pivot. I said, what if people were coming to you and you were in Italy? But now all of a sudden they're not coming to you. What if you did this? And this blew their mind. I said, what if you said, here's the deal. Yes, we will have a virtual event where you actually get to see the person you were going to be seeing, or the speakers, or whatever the event is. But in addition to that, since you're not going to be here, now what we're going to do is we're going to give you a virtual tour. We're going to take you on a tour with the best tour guide in Italy to these various places. Not only that, we're going to get the best customer rep, the best customer service person in these boutique shops that you would never otherwise have access to. And we're going to actually show you some things. And then on top of that, going to take you to a bakery and this, that. We're going to give you all this stuff. And 2 days after that, we will overnight you a package of the most amazing olive oils and
experience.
Vinegar. Boom. And I said, and all of a sudden they're like, holy shit. I said, and you telling me you couldn't do that? I said, you just need to know how to pivot. You thought your business was moving bodies. No, your business is providing experiences. And so that's the difference. You got to know your context. And the interesting thing when I told them that is I said, and you know what that's just done? That just made it so that an entire group of people that never would have been physically able or desirous to come to your location, maybe they don't like traveling, maybe they don't like going through security, maybe they don't like the season, or maybe they're physically, there's a challenge there. There's a physical disability. Now all of a sudden you've opened it and maybe doubled or tripled the amount of people you can actually have attend. Right. All of a sudden they're like, holy shit.
Whoa, opening their eyes. So who's done that well? What brands have done this concept well of pivoting?
Let's see. Who has done that? Who has done that well? Damn. Let me think here. Because we haven't. Let me think. Let me think who has done this well.
Well, or you could also think who's not done it well, right? I think I think Delta's done it well too. I mean, I have not flown Delta yet, but my father-in-law flew Delta, and he was like, "What an incredible experience that was." Not only how seriously they took it, right? There's two things. There's the protocols, which every airline and most businesses have in place, but then it's the public image of it. Like, how do you make people feel the perception of safe and being safe at the same time, right? And the way Delta's doing it, right? They're putting it out there. They're very forward with their commercials. And then in turn, they're actually delivering on it as well from what I hear on the ground. I think that's what's different. How do you stand out? Because people are going to start traveling again. And they are. People are moving. We were down for a couple of months. People got to get places. People got to see relatives. You know, we're not here to talk about the virus or the load level or the velocity, whatever you want to call it. We're not here to talk about that. People are going to get on with their lives and they're going to start doing things again, especially when this vaccine comes out. So how do you stay ahead of the curve? How do companies stay invaluable? That's a concept that I've been embracing for the last 7 months. I may not be able to get the recruiting business that I was from February early on, where I am now. So how do I stay top of mind with my clients? The same thing with brands. How does a brand stay top of mind with their consumers when those consumers aren't consuming the product? And I think Delta has done a fantastic job of that. I mean, what else are you seeing out there? See, I gave you a couple seconds to kind of think about it. Yeah. I'm a good color commentary guy. I'd be good at baseball.
No, it's good. I like
during the pitching change, right? When the play-by-play guy, doesn't have anything to say.
Exactly. I mean, obviously there are certain things. I think anybody that's been in the event space there have been a few companies that have been very, very proactive going, okay, how are we going to, they realized we're still able to provide the value. It's now just going to be done over a different channel. So to me, the biggest thing was not confusing the channel with the deliverable. And Zoom has become, I know that you're not a fan of Zoom, but Zoom has become at this point, they've become a staple. right?
Yeah, I mean, it's ubiquitous for any type of online streaming. We're gonna have a Zoom. No one's saying, "Hey, let's StreamYard," even though I love StreamYard and they're what I'm using right now.
Yeah.
Remember, Xerox would make a copy. Copy was a Xerox for everyone back who's old enough to remember that.
That's right.
A facsimile.
Right. Yeah. But I've been like many. I mean, obviously, I definitely take advantage of Amazon, and I take advantage. I mean, I've seen what's happened at places where I've shopped. There's not any brands that I've seen that have been like remarkably like, whoa, they changed the game entirely. I haven't seen it.
Nothing too standard. I mean, some restaurants here and there, like Panera, has done a good job. I think they've done a decent job of it too. But it's tough out there in the hospitality industry.
Hospitality is tough as hell. Hospitality is tough as hell. But the bottom line is look. I've seen I've watched how different hair salon places have handled stuff.
That's it, yeah.
Let's
talk local. Local is a big thing we were just talking about before. Restaurants with the curbside delivery. There's restaurants in my town that did, curbside drinks. They did like margaritas in these like disposable plastic bags, which I thought was pretty cool. So how do you innovate? And how do you keep the lights on? I mean, that's really what the difference is here. So we only have a couple of minutes before my next other Dave Kalina comes on board here. Sure. And let's pivot and talk a little bit about current day 2020 online brand recognition, brand reputation, personal branding, all that kind of stuff too. LinkedIn, that's where you and I met. And LinkedIn, yeah. I mean, I've been on LinkedIn since 2006. It's been incredible to watch the evolution of video, the evolution of eyeballs and attentions coming from one platform to another. Everyone knows LinkedIn's a great place for organic growth, but it's also attracting, in my opinion, a lot of people who are kind of it's like the gold rush, right? That's kind of what's happening right now. Yeah. A lot of people throwing around a lot of information. But the other thing which is interesting about LinkedIn is, and I guess in a lot like other social media, you could be whoever the hell you want to be, right? But when it comes down with the rubber hits the road and this credibility, and you gotta step up and show your goods. I think that's where a lot of people are failing. But one term that's being thrown around, and I truly think, and if there's a historian here to chime in, that'd be great. Personal branding. I don't think I've ever heard of personal branding before LinkedIn. What does that mean? When I say that to you, what the hell does that mean, Dave? What does personal branding mean to you?
To me?
To you.
To me, what that means is you're owning. I think there's a spectrum of what it means in real life, but I'll tell you the only part that I'm interested in is owning your story. Owning your story as a human being. To me, why do I consider that Samsung will never, ever, ever catch up to Apple? Because Apple had a human being. It had Steve Jobs, very big personality, who was able to communicate in a way that was powerful. Probably one of the best all-time presenters in the world. A great innovator, a great visionary, but it was a human. What the hell is a Samsung? Samsung's technology is either very close, comparable, maybe in some cases it might even be superior.
Yeah, I hear those Android phones are pretty good, but you'll never know.
I'll never know. I don't give a damn. I don't give a shit. It's like there's not a humanized side of it. Let's look at the greatest brands in the world. KFC, which I hate the freaking acronym. Kentucky Fried Chicken. Okay, let's get real, people. KFC. This.
Yeah.
Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's like Colonel Sanders, right? Or you have these. You have these different personalities. Even Nike humanized their brand because they made it about the people doing things, achieving these amazing.
Michael Jordan defined Nike.
Michael Jordan, absolutely. And so to me, personal branding is, what are you owning your slice of humanity and the voice in the world, or are you just kind of letting it kind of go, okay, So that to me is really what happens there. And so personal branding done well is brilliant. Personal branding done, I see a very small percentage that do it brilliantly, that have a great voice, that's inspired, that is consistent but not monotonous, right? It stands for something, but it's not one note, That to me is really what personal branding ultimately should be in my mind.
I love it, Dave. That's awesome. And our other guest, the other Dave, is waiting in the green room here, and we'll bring him in a minute here to kind of have a little Brady Bunch action going on here. But
I love Brady Bunch action.
Yeah.
I just want to know what was the housemaid's what was her name? Alice.
Alice.
I want to know which one of us is going to be Alice, not me.
No, definitely not. So one of the things that we've been talking about a lot, over the last 7 months on this show was silver linings, right? One of my clients is a huge wine brand, and they've seen just tremendous growth because people are drinking. That's what they're doing. They're home here. So, Dave, I'd love if you could share one personal silver lining and one professional silver lining that you've experienced over the last, 6-7 months.
Well, the silver lining that I've experienced and that I've witnessed, was that the two distinctions?
Experience, yeah. A personal and a professional silver lining that you experienced.
Well, I would say one is I actually got to know my neighborhood better because, oh wow, these people walk a lot in my neighborhood. I never knew that because I would never be around. So that was one little personal side. On the professional side, I think this has been phenomenal because people had to start showing up. People had to start being human. People had to start paying attention. You knew at a glance who was being tone deaf and stupid and who was actually being attentive and going, oh, there's a different conversation to have here. This is a different way to pivot. There's a different way to engage someone. And because a lot of us, at least in my connections, a lot of us were gun shy for like the first month.
Yep.
We're like,
you had to test the water. You had to kind of have your ear to the ground, see what's happening.
It was like, is it okay to ask for a sale? Yeah. It was like, everyone's like freaking. It's like, is any cash going to change hands? Is not? Is it like everyone's holding on, not knowing what's happening tomorrow? So to me, it was a very humanizing. I found it kind of made everyone mature a little faster. That's what I observed. It made everyone kind of go, ooh, and be more attentive to the other person. It couldn't just be, oh, I'm a great whatever, pitchman, closer, salesperson, or whatever, and you just couldn't plow. Right. You needed to actually be attentive, and I thought that increased everyone's maturity just that much.
I love it, man. And Dave, we're going to wrap it up here, but before we do that, I am going to bring in my next guest, Dave. Other Dave, I'm bringing you in just to give you a 2-second 1, 2, bringing you in. There we go. Now you're in the game.
What's up, guys?
There you go. Hey. Dave Kalina, how you doing? Do you guys know each other? Have you connected at all?
No, but I mean, we have the same wonderful first name, so we're kindred spirits.
Completely. Once you shared that you're going to have two Davids.
That's right.
It was just magic. That's branding, people. That's branding, people. I mean, that's true branding. And Dave Kalina and I are going to have a great talk about his incredible story with O2, which is pretty fascinating. We'll get to that in a second. But David Brier, thank you for joining me today. I certainly appreciate it. Where could folks find you? Where could they connect with you? Where could they learn more?
Well, definitely they could reach out for me on LinkedIn, but they can go to risingabovethenoise.com, RISING, risingabovethenoise.com. So you can go there. It's like there's a treasure trove of stuff. It's like the only thing more amazing than my website is having two Davids on a podcast.
That's unbelievable. It's almost, I was going to do something on LinkedIn and I was going to call like a play on between two ferns, between two Daves. And I'm like, it doesn't sound right in my head. I'm like, people are going to interpret it wrong. It's just, I don't know. I'm going to leave it at that. So we're cool here. No, exactly. It's just not, it didn't feel right. So I didn't go with it. Dave Brier, thank you for joining us. I appreciate you, my man. We'll continue this conversation offline.
Absolutely. You guys have a great one. And David, I teed you up perfectly, dude. It's like,
I appreciate it, man. Always looking out for one another.
To join the conversation, search the podcast on LinkedIn. And to catch up on past episodes and more info, please visit www.thepodcast.com.